Good morning, sunshines, and happy Friday. We made it through the week, another week. Congratulations to those of you who made it through the week without assaulting or murdering anybody. Nobody gives us an award for these things, but we deserve it. And for those of you that work on the weekends, I'm so sorry. That totally sucks. Been there. And screw all these people that don't have to work on the weekends. Okay, so today I am just telling a story. This is a this is a mythical story. It's a story of family, of betrayal, of a struggle for power, of an ultimate battle. And it starts with two beings named Gaia and Uranus. And they are, in this mythological story, what started everything. Now, they together created the Titans. And the Titans included two of them named Kronos and Rhea. And Kronos and Rhea, even though they were brother and sister, back then there wasn't really anybody to get together with, you know? So Rhea and Kronos got together and had children. Kronos had taken over as the leader of the Titans. So it was expected of him to reproduce, make an heir, so to say. So he and Rhea got right to that, and he ended up fearing that his son would someday take over and take him out of power. So due to, sorry, I keep looking at my dog. I have ADD, I think, a little bit, so distracted. My bad. Sorry, I'm focusing. So he he was scared that they were going to take over. He was genuinely terrified that his son was going to make him obsolete. So he decides to handle that by swallowing each and every one of his children as soon as they're born. As soon as Rhea has a baby, Kronos takes it and swallows it whole, right down into his stomach. Now, in this form of mythology, these people, they're gods, so they're immortal. So even though Kronos swallows his children, they're still alive, but it's like they're just trapped away in his stomach. So Rhea doesn't like this. She's not cool with this. She's not on board with all of her kids being swallowed whole by their father, you know? So she ends up, she's had 5 children already, and Kronos has swallowed each and every single one of them. So she goes off and has her 6th baby in secret. And his name is Zeus. I'm sure lots of you know that name. So if you haven't caught on yet, we're talking about Greek mythology today. So she hides and has baby Zeus in secret. A lot of people say that she had him on the island of Crete, and she hid him away in the caves there. Some refer to that place as the folds of the earth. So she hides him away so that he can grow up and not be eaten by his father, and then someday take over. Because Rhea can see that what Kronos is doing is not okay. Cannibalism was not considered an okay thing. Just like today it's not. It's disgusting. It was disgusting then also. Nobody was happy with the fact that Kronos was doing this. Obviously, especially their mother. So anyway, she has Zeus. She hides him away in the caves. And she goes back to Kronos. And of course, he's expecting a baby to swallow, because obviously he knows she was pregnant. So she takes a big rock and wraps it up in baby blankets and gives that to Kronos. And he doesn't even look at it. He just grabs it and swallows it whole and thinks that baby Zeus is taken care of just like the rest of his children. These are the Olympians. His Kronos and Rhea's children. They're the Olympians. So Zeus stays hidden away. And he grows and he gets older, and once he's finally old enough and has grown into a full size man, a god, he ends up going and he wants to free his brothers and sisters from the stomach of his father. So what he ends up doing is he concocts a kind of potion or poison, and he sneaks in, and Kronos would have a nightly cup of mead, and so Zeus snuck in and put that potion in Kronos's mead, and Kronos ends up drinking the mead and immediately becomes violently ill, just vomiting everywhere. And the first thing that came up was the rock that Rhea had given Kronos in place of baby Zeus. So the rock comes up, all the other siblings come up. Now, side note about that rock, there's a place in Greece called the Temple of Delphi. And the Temple of Delphi is like a really sacred place. It's supposed to be like a direct line to the gods. You go there to pray. I think. I'm not Greek, so this is just, what I've learned. Also, I'm doing this off the top of my head from memory. I don't have notes written down or anything like that. So if I messed up any of this, go easy on me, my bad. But anyway, so the Temple of Delphi, there is a big, I think, egg-shaped rock there. And apparently, if you were to go there today, the residents of the area would still tell you that that is the rock that Kronos vomited in, that was supposed to be baby Zeus. They still today say that's the one, which I think is pretty cool, actually. It's interesting. So anyway, he vomits everybody up. All of Zeus's siblings are now free, and of course they're super appreciative of Zeus, and they're ready to fight alongside him against their father. After all, he ate all of them. Why would they show him any loyalty now? So Zeus still knows, though, that the Titans are pretty strong. They're not supposed to be the smartest of beings, but they're strong and use brute force. Just, I don't want to say meatheads, but more or less. So he decides that he needs more backup, and there were forgotten brothers of Kronos's, which would be Zeus's uncles, and they were lost because, well, they weren't really lost. They were banished to Hades, to a place called Tartarus, which is the lowest level of Hades. It's where the damned go, the people that have committed acts against the gods and things like that. They go to Tartarus, which is, just like I said, deep down into Hades, hell. And so down in Tartarus, Kronos, on top of being nervous about his own children or his own son taking his power, he also had brothers that he was worried would take his power away from him and be too strong. So there were 6 of them down there. 3 of them were Cyclopses, and 3 of them were what they called 100-handers. And 100-handers are pretty straightforward of what it sounds like. They're this big giant being with 100 hands and many, many, many heads. I forget the exact number, but they're huge. They're huge and powerful. So it's no wonder that Kronos was terrified of them and their potential power. So Zeus goes down to Tartarus, and he frees the Cyclopses and the 100-handers. And he says to them, basically, I know my father was terrible and banished you down here, but I've freed you, and I hope that you now will fight along my side, And they do. They're very appreciative that Zeus liberated them. And in such appreciation, the Cyclopses gave Zeus a power. Many of us know the iconic lightning bolt that Zeus has, and he got that from the Cyclopses. So now Zeus has the power of lightning, he has the Hundred Handers, he has the Cyclopses, and he has his 5 Olympian siblings to fight against Kronos. And it happens. It goes down. There's a valley in Greece with a mountain on each side, and this really exists. I can't think of the name of the valley, but it's Mount Olympia, which is where the Greeks believed their gods lived. Like the gods were physically living on top of Mount Olympia. And so from that mountain to the next, the Titans went on one side and the Olympians went on the other. And battle royale, man, just both sides going hard at each other. The Hundred Handers, were so huge, they're ripping hunks of mountain off and throwing it over to the other side at the Titans. And it's just going on and on and on. And ultimately, of course, Zeus wins. As we all know, he ends up being the god of the gods. He's the one in charge. He's the bearer of punishment and all that. Even with the other gods, if they do something wrong, it's up to Zeus to punish them. So Zeus ends up winning, and he has a wife who's also his sister, just like his mother and father, and her name's Hera. And Hera was like Zeus's equal in woman form. She was powerful, she was strong, she was smart, and they got married and had children. And the thing about Zeus and all the Greek gods is that they're very, very human-like. Like, they are very flawed. They're nowhere near perfect beings. They've got a lot of human-like traits, mortal traits that other religions and belief systems and mythologies don't seem to have in their gods, this human-like effect. So Zeus's big flaw and human-like effects was his love for women. He was I don't know the word. Anyhow, so he would get together with gods, mortals, it didn't really matter. Zeus was like a shapeshifter. He would transform himself to look like a mortal woman's husband so that he could get with her, So, and apparently there was never a time that Zeus had communion with a woman that didn't result in a child. So Zeus had like a big old group of kids, including obviously eventually Hercules. We know that story. But anyhow, so Hera gets really, really sick of his infidelity. Even though that's her brother, it is her husband, and he's making her look like a fool in front of all the rest of the gods. Everybody sees it happening, everybody sees him being unfaithful, and she gets really, really sick of it, So she ends up talking to the other Olympians, and she's like, why is Zeus in charge exactly? Like, he's not any stronger or better or smarter than any of the rest of us. So why are we all listening to him? Like, we could all get together and totally overthrow him, and then we didn't have to listen to him anymore, So they all kind of agree with her. They're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, we could just be in charge of ourselves and not listen to Zeus. So the cowards wait till he's asleep and chain him down to where he's sleeping. So when he wakes up, he can't move. He's chained down. Everybody's around, and it's not looking good for Zeus. Luckily, he still has friends in those Hundred Handers and Cyclops, and they heard what was going on. So they made haste. They got there fast, and they got Zeus all unhooked. And from there wasn't much that the rest of the Olympians could do, because they were kind of wrong. Zeus was stronger than them. Zeus did have his lightning bolts and that sort of thing. So if he wasn't chained down, he really didn't have any problem defending himself. So Zeus wins, yay. Hera was punished. I don't remember what she did to them, but I know some of them got years and years of hard labor and things like that Zeus sentenced them to for attempting to overthrow him. So he won. He stayed in power. He was amazing. But in conclusion, happy Friday.